If you are interested in my videos, please subscribe. I did a retrospective on Return of the Roar and the first season of The Lion Guard. Now it's time to do it for the second season. Of course, I'm going to spoil season 2 and also watching Return of the Roar and season 1 or my retrospectives on them is necessary for this one. So let's start. Episode 1. Babysitter Bunga. Bunga becomes a babysitter. He teaches the kids how to defend themselves. So when jackals attack them, they can deal with the jackals themselves. Episode 2. The Savanah Summit. A short while before the dry season, the Lion King will invite the leaders of each animal to a summit in order to negotiate and fix the current problems and prevent the future conflicts that will happen in the dry season. Meku, as the leader of the crocodiles, is also there, and Kyon attacks him multiple times, but turned out that Meku is actually trying to be a good guy now, and he was willing to negotiate, but now thanks to Kyon it is ruined. So Kyon will make it up to Meku, and at the end a peace is made between all the animals. I love how even though Kyon made a big mistake this time, Simba still didn't lash out at him. Again, he just raised his voice a little bit. He already knows that Kyon regrets it, and shouting at him won't make it better. Instead of telling Kyon how angry or disappointed he is, he gave a chance to his son to fix his mistakes, just like how a great father would do. Also, I know Meku's redemption came out of nowhere, but should we really need a reason to become a better person? Can't we just one day wake up and decide to let go of our bad behaviors and start doing good things? Episode 3. The Traveling Baboon Show. A few circus monkeys show up, but they turned out to be food wheels, so they ran away to the Outlands. But hyenas attacked them, so the Lion Guard saved them. At the end, the monkeys changed their ways. Episode 4. Ono and the Egg. Ono finds an egg in his nest. That egg hatches, and Ono will take care of the hatchling until her mother is found. When the mother is found, a hawk named Mpishi tries to hunt the hatchling, but the Lion Guard stops her. Also, I like her motivation. She comes from a far place to Pride Lands to taste new foods. It's a very simple motivation, but it makes sense to me. After all, what is more enjoyable than a delicious meal? Episode 5. The Rise of Scar. Okay, I have a small complaint. Wouldn't it be better if we had the first 4 episodes of season 2 as the final 4 episodes of season 1? And then have episode 5 of season 2 as a TV movie just like the Return of the Roar? Then season 2 would start with episode 6 instead? In that case, season 1 would be 30 episodes, which is the round number, and then the Lion Guard would become an even bigger deal, and then the pacing and structure of season 2 wouldn't have any problems. Season 1 is fine because every episode is 20 minutes, and the whole season has a problem of the week formula. But in season 2, the first 4 episodes are just like season 1, and then episode 5 is even longer than the Return of the Roar movie, and then from episode 6 the opening changes and the status quo changes. If it was the way I said it, then the first 4 episodes wouldn't stand out like a sore thumb, and also it would be much cooler. By the way, it is the dry season, and because of that, there are much more problems for the Lion Guard to deal with. The hyenas attacked the Pride Lands multiple times in the same day. The last time they chased them out, Ushari got mentally tortured again. This is where Ushari loses his mind. Dude had so many bad lucks that he went mad and started his villain arc. And it's justifiable if you ask me. Bro was just minding his own business during the entirety of season 1, but just bad things happened to him for no reason. Motembo, the leader of the elephants, has the responsibility to find a new water source with her great hearing ability, but the other animals are making loud sounds and doesn't let her focus. Then Kiyoung is talking to Mufasa and a new character is secretly watching them. She is Mekini, a mandrill just like Rafiki who will be his apprentice and his future replacement for when Kiara becomes queen. She tells to Kiyoung, and turns out that only lions and experienced Meduses can talk to dead lions. Also, it is a secret and the other animals shouldn't know it. But Ushari was hearing them as well and starts thinking of a plan. Also, Ushari refers to Mufasa as the wisest king of Pride Land's history. I don't like how Mufasa is the best king of history and Scar is the worst king in history. It kinda makes the world building smaller, as if there wasn't anything before Mufasa. I personally think if there were kings that were even better than Mufasa and kings that were even worse than Scar, it would be much more interesting. Then the lion guard deal with the hyenas again. Then Rafiki is teaching lessons to Mekini, and Mekini is a very talkative and impatient person. She has a long way to go. Then he sends her to find her own staff. Then Kiyoung is talking about Motembo to Simba, and Simba tells him that finding water is her responsibility and they have their own responsibilities. Then they sing a song about responsibility, and during it we see a flashback of a very young Kiyoung when he was just learning how to walk. Baby Kiyoung is very cute. Mufasa also looks at them, and it's cool to see all three generations in one shot. And also Simba tells Kiyoung how much he is proud of his son. The hyenas find Ushari in the Outlands and try to eat him, but he tells them what he knows and says if Kiyoung can talk to Mufasa, maybe they can find a way to talk to Scar. So they let him go to execute his plans. When Mekini is finding her staff, Ushari manipulates her to ask Rafiki about how to talk to evil lions of the past. Then Mekini takes her staff to Rafiki and he connects two fruits to the staff. One represents the past and the other one for the future. Then Ushari introduces his little lizard friend to the hyenas. The lizards follow Rafiki and Mekini and tell Ushari about the secret lair. Ushari follows Rafiki and Mekini to the lair. Then Rafiki introduces Mekini to the rest of the guard. Then Mekini asks Rafiki and he tells her about how to talk to evil lions of the past. And Ushari hears it. Then Mekini is introduced to the rest of the royal family. Kiara and Mekini go to Motembo to see if they can help and to know each other for the future. Then Ushari and Jonjo come up with a plan. When Kiara and Mekini are alone, the hyenas attack them and get Mekini's staff and kidnap Kiara. They need the staff to summon Scar, and they need Kiara to make Kiyoung angry so that he would roar, and they will need that to start the summoning process. The lion guard rescue Kiara, but Jonjo manages to make Kiyoung use his roar in anger. The lion guard go, under the false assumption that nothing bad is going to happen. Ushari couldn't summon Scar, so Jonjo gets angry and throws the staff in the lava. But that was exactly what they needed to do, and Scar's spirit gets summoned from the head. The fire forms the shape of Scar's head and he introduces himself with an evil laughter. The design of Scar is literally and figuratively fire. It is such a cool design. At the end, Mekini manages to make the rest of the animals quiet and Motembo finds a new water source. And also Rafiki tells Mekini that the staff was just a piece of wood and the thing that is important is the person that wields it. This was a perfect episode. It deserves to be considered a TV movie, not just a long episode. I really have no problem with it. Bringing back Scar was an obvious yet genius idea. Of course, he is not voiced by Jeremy Irons here, but that redesign makes up for it. Later, I will find some problems with how they handled Scar, but those problems are not in this episode. Episode 6. Let Sleeping Crocs Lie. There is an antelope stampede. Ono suggests the guard to drive them to a dead end to stop the stampede. The plan works, but they didn't know that the crocodiles were hibernating in a cave nearby. And because of the stampede, they are awake now and can't go to sleep again. So Meku goes to Simba to solve the problem. But now that Meku has changed his ways, another crocodile named Kiburi is not satisfied with the new peaceful base, so he makes problems. The lion guards stop them, and by Simba's order they find a water hole for them. But it is small, so Kiburi challenges Meku to a machindano so that he could easily bring chaos. Scar sends Ushari to Kiburi, and Ushari tells Kiburi to send his loyal crocodiles to attack Simba while he is distracting him during the machindano. Meku defeats Kiburi, and also thanks to Ono, his loyal crocodiles are stopped. So Kiburi and the 3 crocodiles loyal to him are banished. Kiburi and his crocodiles get introduced to Scar. At the end, we see that the crocodiles are getting used to the new situation, and Meku forgives Ono. It's good to see how much Meku has changed. His redemption arc isn't anything special, but I love how he went from a generic villain to one of my favorite characters of the show. Episode 7. Swept Away. The zebras are trapped in a dried mud, and Kion roars at a cloud to make it rain and make the mud wet again so that the zebras can free themselves. But I think the cloud Kion roared at was big, so it was too much rain, and as a result, a flood swept away Beshte to the Outlands. Scar finds it out, and with a plan traps Beshte and sends the hyenas to crush him under giant rocks, but the lion guard stops them. Episode 8. Rafiki's New Neighbors. 3 annoying animals show up and annoy Rafiki, so he sends them away. Later the tree is in fire, so those 3 animals come back and save the tree. Rafiki tells them that they can stay with him if they want, but the 3 say they have found a new home, so there is no need for that. In this episode, we see how worse the situation is during the dry season. Disasters happen left and right. Also here, Mekini does her first official royal painting. A lot of small things happen in this episode, but none of them hold any importance. Episode 9. Rescue in the Outlands. Scar hears about Jasiri and sends Jonjo's entire crew to kill her. Their plan almost works, but the last minute the lion guard came and saved her. Episode 10. The Ukumbushu Tradition. Another lore episode. There is a tradition in which the members of the current lion guard will play in a stage show. In it they will play as the members of Oscari's guard. Oscari is the first lion guard leader in history. Mekini uses fruits to make yellow color in order to paint the rest of the lion guard members, in order to make them look like lions. So as a result, she runs out of yellow color, so she uses flowers to make more yellow color to paint the elephants' faces. Because of that, during the stage play, bees attack the elephants. The lion guard save them and continue the stage play. One lioness in the background looks like Sarabi, but I think it is confirmed that it is not her. The show had around 50 episodes or something, and not in even one of them Sarabi even got mentioned. Why don't they talk about her at all? Is she dead? Is she just in the background? What happened to her? It's insulting that they just ignore her. I like how they talked about the Pride Lands history in this episode. I would also like to see a full version of that stage play. An animated short would be fine, but it would be cool if they turned it into an actual real life stage play. The Lion King on Broadway is one of, if not the most successful Lion King project. I don't know why they didn't make more of it. Episode 11, The Bite of Kenge. A giant lizard named Kenge shows up, who with his venomous bites can make his opponents paralyzed, except for Bunga, who is immune to it. So him and McKinney distract him, while the rest of the guard heal and come back to kick him out. The effect of Kenge's bite won't last forever, but McKinney made the healing process faster with some flowers.
Are we supposed to smell the flowers? Eat them?
Or wear them?
They had to shove it in the episode 12, Timon and Pumbaa's Christmas. It is a Christmas special episode. I am not sure if this episode is canon or not, but it is interesting to see a Lion King adaptation of the concept of Christmas. Overall, a generic and childish episode that feels more like a Timon and Pumbaa episode than a Lion Guard episode, but it has its charm. It's also cute to see how kind everyone in Pride Lands are. Episode 13, The Morning Report. It was about time to have a Zazu episode. Scar tells Janja to capture Zazu and get the royal secrets from him. They capture Zazu, but Zazu distracts them long enough so that the Lion Guard can come and save him. Also here we see that although Zazu is a comedic character, he has his heroic sides. We see a flashback to baby Kiyoung days, and in it we see that once Zazu saved Kiyoung and Bunga from the crocodiles. Also in the current day, we see Zazu, while being trapped in a cage, he manages to take down 2 hyenas and save Fully. Also we see some references to the first Lion King movie, but none of them are satisfying to me. I say when Zazu's cage was rolling in the direction of the steam, he could say not again or something, or he could reference Scar or the old hyenas. Episode 14, The Golden Zebra. There isn't enough water for all Pride Landers, so Simba sends the Lion Guard to the Backlands. It's a neighboring territory to the Pride Lands, and I think the queen of that place is a golden zebra named Dahabu. And I have a question. Why isn't she a fairy icon? I expected her to have a huge following on DeviantArt, like the likes of Nala, Zero and Kovu, but she barely has any fan arts. And also, I am not a fairy, but if you are one, good for you, it's your life. Also, DeviantArt isn't just for weird stuff, because that's just half of it. In the other half, there are lots of good fan arts and fan comics about the Lion King, and not all of them are questionable. In fact, I have already shown some of them in some of my previous videos, and I will eventually make a video about the Lion King fan contents to show you guys that there are actually lots of good and non-questionable stuff on that site. By the way, the Lion Guard asked her if they can share their watering hole with the Pride Landers, but that watering hole is also dry because Makucho has blocked the river. But the Lion Guard, with the help of Dahabu, defeat him and the rest of the leopards, and then they break the dam so the watering hole is full of water again, and both the Backlanders and the Pride Landers can have water now. Episode 15, The Little Guy. Well, another generic episode. There are similar episodes to this in other kid shows. I think you know how it works. There's an animal who wants to be another animal, and then he gets laughed at because of it. But later he shows his worth and as a result becomes an honorary member of the animals he wanted to be. Episode 16, Divide and Conquer. The jackals have joined Scar. Now hyenas can attack a place while the jackals will attack another place. So the lion guard have to divide, which will make them weaker. But Kiyoung realizes that jackals and the hyenas have teamed up. So Kiyoung asks that drone go for help. He has actually started a show. Good for him. He will distract the bad guys so that the lion guard will find the time to deal with all of them without dividing. Also here the hyenas tried to attack Rafiki, but he defeated them by referencing the Lion King 1. I like this reference actually. Also at the end, Kiyoung saw a Scar, but he didn't bring it up for some reason. Episode 17, The Scorpion Sting. Okay, the stakes were kinda high in this one. We see Scar's entire gang here. Hyenas, jackals, crocodiles, vultures, ushari and the lizards. But today he will also ask the help of a scorpion as well. It is the anniversary of the day that Simba defeated Scar. So the animals are celebrating. While everyone is distracted, by Scar's request, the scorpion stings Simba. Simba is going to die by the sunset if he doesn't get killed. But Rafiki will need ashes from the volcano for that. So McKinney and the Lion Guard go to the Outlands, but they will fight all of Scar's gang on the way. When they get the ashes from the volcano, Scar reveals himself. Scar still can't hold his tongue, so he tells them that it was all part of his plan and that they are all trapped now. But the Lion Guard kept their cool and Kiyoung used his roar multiple times in a way that it won't make the volcano erupt. Scar has a huge ego and just assumes his plan will work because he thinks others have the same flaws as him. And Kiyoung is smart and mentally strong and won't make the same mistakes that Scar made when he was a lion guard. And because of that, Kiyoung seemingly has much more control over the roar than Scar ever did. The Lion Guard give the ashes to Rafiki, but they barely made it because the Outlanders kept attacking them. Simba is saved, but he will be weak for a while. That moment that Kiyoung nuzzled Simba and Simba woke up was a heartwarming scene. Kiyoung tells Rafiki about Scar's return. Rafiki tells Kiyoung that he should tell this to Simba when his illness is fully cured. Then the Lion Guard and McKinney are on Pride Rock. Kiyoung tells the rest that from now on, things will be harder, but they won't give up. This episode was good, but it could be much better. They had to take this one much more seriously. Simba's life was in danger, but there were still jokes in it. Also, if you ask me, it's too bad that the show tried to be canon. You know, if it just accepted itself as an alternate universe, they could do much more. Just imagine if Simba died in this episode. Things would go much more differently. I would like to see that universe somehow. Like now, imagine Nala, Kiara and Kiyoung trying to rule the Pride Lands without Simba. That would be hard. And yeah, you know, that would be tragic and... You know, I just would like to see what would happen if Simba died, you know? Why are you trying to be canon? Why don't you just accept yourself as a non-canon one thing and just do cool stuff with it, you know? But whatever. Episode 18, The Wisdon of Kongwe. The only interesting part of this episode is the beginning of it. I said multiple times that I don't like bringing back Mufasa. But I love this one. Mufasa is talking to both Simba and Kiyoung. I love how all three generations are here. Then Fully and McKinney have to escort an old wise turtle to Pride Rock. And you can guess what happens. The trip is much longer than what Fully expects. but at the end she learns to be patient and to stop and observe sometimes. Too bad she forgets all of it later. Episode 19, The Kiliovalley Fire. Just like the last episode, only the beginning is good. The Lion Guard actually lose at the beginning. The vultures put 6 on fire and throw them, and it looks like as if it's raining fire from the sky. The target is where the elephants live. On normal circumstances, they could put out the fire, but hyenas, jackals, and crocodiles attack the elephant at the same time. So the Lion Guard have no choice but to escort the elephants outside of their home. The elephants are safe, but the same can't be said for their home. It's completely burnt, and now it's part of the enemy's territory. It was interesting to see the bad guys win one round for a change, but the rest of it is again predictable. The Lion Guard tried to take the elephants to another place, but in all of them animals leave, and it's hard for them to cope with them. Until the end that another place is on fire, but the elephants put out the fire, so they are welcome to stay now. Episode 20, Undercover Kiniyounga. A chameleon shows up and agrees to spy on Scar for the Lion Guard. She learns Scar's plan but gets revealed to Scar. The Lion Guard save her. The Lion Guard gets inspired by her and use stealth techniques to ruin Scar's plan. Episode 21, Cave of Secrets. McKinney and the Lion Guard search for more paintings in the caverns to find a solution to defeat Scar. As a result, they find a secret cave. This leads to a dungeon, which is a test for the Lion Guard. One by one, they prove their worth by doing a task. And at the end, they realize that they themselves are the key of defeating Scar. By believing in themselves and working together, they can overcome any challenge. Now they have proved it to themselves that they are worthy. Episode 22, The Zebra Mastermind. Every animal crew that work for Scar have at least one idiot in it. Jackals have Goi Goi, hyenas have Cheesy and Changu, and there are also 2 idiot crocodiles. Thurston accidentally gives tips to each of them about how to defeat the Lion Guard, and it goes as disastrous as you expect it. Episode 23, The Hyenas Resistance. Jasiri makes her own Lion Guard. They call it the Hyenas Resistance. They are a great help to the Lion Guard because they can prevent Scar's plan and make the Lion Guard's job much easier. Scar finds it out and sends his army to deal with the Hyenas Resistance. But the Lion Guard come to the rescue. At the end, Jonjo is falling to his death, but Jasiri saves him. She offers him to join the good guys. Jonjo disagrees and runs away, but it was obvious that Jonjo had his doubts. Jonjo is slowly becoming tired of being evil and is questioning his current life choices. Episode 24, The Underground Adventure. Tifu and Zuri want to bath in mud to protect their skin or something. They make Kiara come with them as well. Kayon and Bunga also join them to protect them. It's cute to see Kiara and Kayon spend time together. That's something I want more of. Scar finds it out and sends a vulture to bring fire. I said before that Kiara didn't have a great moment in this show, neither as a sister nor as a character, but she has a few good moments, and I think this one is one of the good ones. Kayon tells the girls to take shelter while he and Bunga put out the fire, but Kiara disagrees and comes to help the boys. She has her heroic moments, like in this episode that she saves Tifu once, or in season 1 that she saved Tifu and Zuri once. These 2 idiots are just totally unaware of the world around them. Like, Scar is back And Kiara is spending time with Simba for royal duties and also figuring out what to do with Scar. And these two refer to this life or death situations as boring, stupid stuff. Like seriously? Calling the guard because your skin is dry? What? I just wonder why Kiara even hangs out with them. She's just taking care of them half the time. I guess there are no other girl lions around here. By the way, they couldn't put out the fire, so they enter a tunnel and find another way to reach Pride Rock. During it, we have a mini arc for Tifu. She is afraid of the dark, and she eventually learns to not be afraid of the dark. Episode 25, Beshte and the Beast. The Gorilla King sends his strongest gorilla to help the Lion Guard. His name is Shuja, and he is so strong that he destroys everything while trying to help. So Beshte teaches him how to control his strength. Episode 26, Pridelanders Unite. The Outlanders have become a much bigger threat now that they are united. And also the Pridelanders have become paranoid because of it and are making problems for each other. Kiyoung wants to teach the Pridelanders how to defend themselves and how to work as a team to fix both of the problems. Kiyoung's friends tell him that if the Pridelanders knew about Scar's return, then they would be more willing to help. But Kiyoung tells them that his father doesn't want the Pridelanders to know it because he fears they might become even more paranoid. The Lion Guard recruits some animals, but they can't make them get along with each other. So they call Meku and the crocodiles to train them. But the other animals can't fight like a crocodile. And also Meku is a good guy now, but still a jerk. So it doesn't work either. Meku and the crocodiles leave, but Scar has heard about the Pridelanders uniting and has sent all the Outlanders to deal with Meku and his float first. But the rest of the Pridelanders with the Lion Guard come and help them. During the fight, the different animals finally learn how to work as a team. At the end, Meku thanks everyone and tells them that he will help them anytime they need it. Episode 27, The Queen's Visit. Queen Dahabu shows up with her zebras. She will talk to Simba about keeping their alliance. She will have a tour on Pride Lands and Fully, and somehow Tifu and Zuri will be her guard. Scar sends the Outlanders to attack Dahabu in order to break the alliance. Fully does her job, but Tifu and Zuri are cowards, so instead, two of Dahabu's loyal zebras come to save her. So she chooses them to be her royal bodyguards from now on, and Fully and Tifu and Zuri are free from her annoyance now. At the end, Dahabu tells Simba and Pridelanders that she will continue their alliance. Episode 28, The Fall of Mizimu Grove, lore episode. There is a part of the Pride Lands called the Mizimu Grove. In it, all the royal Mejusis have planted a baobab tree in order to represent themselves in Pride Lands history. Today is McKinney's turn. The Lion Guard invite lots of animals to see it. During it, all the Outlanders attack and also bring fire. The Pridelanders have been training for this. So this time they defend themselves and fight the Outlanders, and they do a great job with it until Scar shows up from the fire, and now the Pridelanders panic and run. The Outlanders are kicked out and the fire is put out, but the damage is already done. The Mizimu Grove is badly damaged and the Pridelanders are not happy that Simba kept Scar's return a secret. They are even considering leaving the Pride Lands. Simba tells them that it is his duty to protect them, but if they leave, he can't do that. He tells the leaders of the animals that they have time to think and they will tell their decisions tomorrow. At night, Kiyoung seeks guidance from Mufasa, and then he finds out that the tree that McKinney was supposed to plant is still safe and sound. Tomorrow, the leaders are seemingly planning to leave, but Kiyoung uses that tree as an example to show them that united they stand, divided they fall. So the animals agree to stay. A great episode, but not perfect. For example, I don't know how that tree was a metaphor of togetherness. Episode 29, Fire from the Sky. During this season, lots of sticks on fire were coming from the sky, and today they will find out how. Ono tries to fly as high as he can to see where the fire comes from, but he can't fly high enough. So Beshte introduces them to someone who can fly high. Anga, a female eagle. And at first glimpse, she is seemingly the most straight and serious character in this show. Her expressionless face and next to nothing reactions when others are trying to interact with her are priceless. She is either shy and introvert to some unhealthy measures or an egomaniac. Sometimes she just doesn't even answer the questions. And sometimes her reactions are very delayed. She agrees to help and realizes that vultures are the reasons. Then they recruit Hadithi and his followers, and with their help they manage to defeat the vultures. It's good to see that Hadithi has become an actual hero and a leader, although he is still an egomaniac. And Anga is a great support character. Write that down, put a pin on it. You will need it when I talk about season 3. And this was the last episode, so not even the final episode was like a normal episode. There were no season finale to it, just like season 1. But I was fine with it in season 1 because it was a monster of week type of season. But Scar was back in season 2. It had to be more story driven. It had to have a season finale, but whatever, man. Those were the episodes. Now here is the ranking. Number 29, Rafiki's new neighbors. Those 3 animals were annoying. Number 28, the traveling baboon show. The baboons were annoying. Number 27, Undercover Kiniyounga. The lion guard learning from the chameleon was interesting, but overall a generic episode. Number 26, Beshte and the Beast. There are episodes from other shows that are similar to this one and it doesn't stand out. Number 25, Swept Away. Beshte was nice, but this episode has nothing special about it. Number 24, Babysitter Bunga, a childish episode, but Bunga teaching kids how to defend themselves was interesting. Number 23, the Zebra Mastermind. Overall a predictable episode, but it had its funny moments. Number 22, Divide and Conquer. Interesting idea, but in execution a generic episode. If Scar just continued the strategy from this episode, he would have eventually won. Number 21, the little guy. Again, generic episode, and everyone forgot about it later. Number 20, Timon and Pumbaa's Christmas. Generic episode, but it was interesting to see a Lion King version of Christmas. Number 19, the Golden Zebra. The hobo has a good design and is friendly, but the episode isn't very special. Number 18, The Underground Adventure. Another generic episode, but at least Kiara was heroic, I guess. And Tifu had an arc, I guess that's good too. Number 17, The Wisdom of Kongwe. Yet another generic episode, but the beginning of it was cute. Number 16, the Kiliovalley Fire. It was cool to see good guys lose for once, if only the rest wasn't generic. Number 15, Rescue in the Outlands. It's a Jessiri episode, and Jessiri episodes are always good. Number 14, the Bite of Kenge. Kenge was a threat, and it was nice to see McKinney in action. Also, why didn't Scar use this guy again? If he just combined this idea with another idea, he would have won. Number 13, Ono and the Egg. Ono became some sort of a big brother figure. Ono is such a nice guy. Number 12, the Savanah Summit. It was good to see a redemption arc for Meku, even though it came out of nowhere. Number 11, the Scorpion Sting. A kid who isn't aware of the existence of Lion King 2 would be on the edge of the seat while watching this episode. Number 10, Let Sleeping Crocs Lie. Meku is one of my favorite characters of this show now. Number 9, the Hyenas Resistance. Another J-Series episode, and I am happy to see good hyenas in action. Number 8, the Queen's Visit. The other Dehabu episode. She is such a nice and happy person. She is also one of the best characters of this show. Number 7, Fire from the Sky. Introduction of Anga, another good character. It's also good to see normal people in action, and by normal people I mean the normal animals. You know, the birds were doing lots of stuff in this, and also in other episodes the other animals are doing good stuff. It's good to see that the Lion Guard actually tried teaching their people how to fight. Number 6, Fall of the Mizimu Groove. Again, the bad guys won at the beginning. Also, Kayan is such a nice guy. Number 5, the Morning Report. Wow, didn't know Zazu was this good of a character. Number 4, Pridelanders Unite. It's so good to see all the Pridelanders fighting for a better tomorrow. Number 3, Cave of Secrets. It's great to see why Kayan and his friends are worthy of being the Lion Guard. Number 2, the Ukumbushu Tradition. There is a weird relaxation in this episode. Seeing the royal family together is nice, and seeing the characters singing and playing a stage show, these are all interesting. Like, I want more episodes like this. You know, there is this episode and there is the Kupatana celebration episode from season 1. I like seasons like this. They are, you know, crazy stuff doesn't happen in it. They are very grounded. It's kind of more like Lion King. It's less like Lion Guard. It's more like Lion King. There are less fantasy stuff in it. There are less unrealistic stuff in it. These two episodes are just a gathering of family and friends, and it's cute. I like that. And number 1, the Rise of Scar. Reviving Scar is such a cool idea. I can't think of a better way of doing it than this episode. Of course, in the rest of the episodes, the way they used the Scar was underwhelming. But you know, if I wanted to rewrite this season, you know, I would have changed everything that happens after this episode. I would have kept this episode the same. And that was the ranking. But what is my overall opinion on the season? It had to be better than season 1. But unfortunately it is slightly worse than season 1. Why? Because of the higher expectations. Season 1 is obviously trying to be a kid show, and because of that I judge it as a kid show. Yeah, it kinda disrespects the Lion King because it is not that deep, but whatever. It is almost impossible to be as good as the original Lion King trilogy. As a kid show, the Lion Guard season 1 was pretty good. It may not be as deep, but it does not talk down to its audience. In comparison to other kid shows, it's much better. A lot of modern kid shows have nothing for adults. The moment their audience grow up, they have no reason for coming back to them other than nostalgia. But the Lion Guard is a kid show that adults won't hate it like most kid shows. It is childish in a charming way. not in a way that you would feel weird by watching it. There are kids shows that are just for kids, and parents would play them for kids so that they would sit down and not make sounds for a short while. And there are kids shows like The Lion Guard that are a family show, meaning you can watch it with your children or young siblings and you would probably enjoy it as well. At least it was a charming experience for me. The only problem is more than half of the soundtracks that I would skip. But of course, if you idolize the first movie like a god and hate everything that came after it, or if you are one of those no I won't watch an animated show, I am not 5 years old type of people, then you won't enjoy it. But for season 2, the moment they brought back Scar, my expectations went high. You do not bring back one of the greatest villains in fiction to do just the monster of the week formula with it. When Scar is back, I expect you to ditch the episodic formula and do a story-based formula with a big arc or something. In the movie, Scar made 2 plans. The first one failed, but the second one succeeded. But in this show, he made multiple plans and only 2 of them kinda work. Not totally, just kinda. You would say his lackeys were incompetent, but the hyenas from the Lion King one weren't smart either, but Scar managed to use them to win. Of course, having a generic voice for Scar doesn't help either. I expected the return of Scar to be the coolest thing ever, but only the episode Rise of Scar was interesting. After that, I was expecting the most horrifying thing ever. I expected the Lion Guard and the royal family and the Pridelanders to be much more horrified of seeing Scar. Neither the characters nor the show itself made a big deal out of it. The Lion Guard saw him and said, "We will deal with you later." And we didn't even see Simba's reaction to Scar's comeback. And the animals just ran away for a short while. Then they were all calm. Simba keeping it a secret was also a wasted potential. They ended the drama so soon. This one had to be a mini arc or something, not just a single episode. This season was the perfect place to focus more on Kayon's family. Here we needed to see Simba overcoming his struggles. The animals could be much harsher on Simba. Some of them should have actually left the Pride Lands. We had to see Simba being at the peak of his self-doubts. And then Simba's family would be the one who, by being there for him and believing in him, would rebuild his confidence. Then we could see Simba being such a great king that even the animals that have left the Pride Lands would come back, because it would be safer to be in Pride Lands with a king that wants to take care of them. And maybe they could focus more on Jessiri as well. Living near the bad guys would probably be a much bigger struggle. They could have continued the Hyenas Resistance, but maybe after a while they had no choice but to live in Pride Lands for a while. And this is where what I said in my season 1 retrospective could have been executed. Maybe Simba wouldn't be okay with letting hyenas live in Pride Lands, but then by seeing how much they are struggling, he would let them, but keep an eye on them. Then maybe Jessiri would save Simba or his family or do something heroic so that Simba would finally trust and accept them. Meku's redemption could be executed better. Not much had to be added. We could see that even though he is the leader now, he still isn't satisfied with his life. And he doesn't truly feel happy. So one day he just woke up and just decided to become a better person. And slowly he felt happiness and satisfaction. Maybe he would have even tried to bring Pumbaa back to the float. Maybe Pumbaa accepted it, maybe he didn't. But he could tell Meku that he is proud of what he has become. Okay, also why Scar has such a one and done mentality? Kenge and that scorpion almost made him succeed. If he used them again or even together or made them part of his main army, he could have easily reclaimed the throne or continuing his divide and conquer strategy. They realized they were using a Drongo, so if they continued those plans, he could have won. Fighting Scar had to be a much more challenging thing for the guard. They should have barely made it out alive. Why is Scar so stupid in comparison to the movie? Why this show forgets about some stuff? You know that little guy that joined Meku's float? Where is he? Fully learns from that turtle to be patient. She doesn't seem to be remembering that. Why didn't the show focus more on the good guys losing? At first it looks like a big deal, but then it becomes a childish episode and the problems get solved easily. Also, couldn't we focus more on Kiara? I did defend her before, but I can totally see that they could have done so much more good stuff with her. Why didn't we see more of her heroic sides? She saved her friends a few times. Why didn't they do it on a bigger scale? You know, maybe saving Kayon's life once, or saving a few more animals all by herself. I am not saying that she had to become a warrior or something, but couldn't she outsmart someone and help her family win a battle or something? Or I don't know, the bad guys poison Kayon and because of that he gets sick badly, then Kiara take care of Kayon 24/7 until he was fully cured. We could have also seen Simba and Nala as great leaders and good warriors. Nala especially needed more spotlight. I could probably find a few more small problems, but by far the biggest missed opportunity of the Lion Guard season 2 is the fact that Scar didn't recruit Zero and her followers. This makes me mad. It was so obvious. Why didn't they do it? I just don't understand why they didn't do it. In season 1 we saw Zero and Rafiki confirmed that she was one of Scar's followers. So we clearly know that Scar knows who Zero is. Recruiting her had to be his first thing to do, or at worst he could have seen how incompetent the other animals are and then he would have recruited her. Why Zero was only in one episode? She had to be a main villain in season 2. All these hyenas and jackals and crocodiles had to bow to her. She had to be Scar's second in command. Not John John, not Ray Ray, not Kiburi, not Mizimu, and not Ushari. Scar's plan would get much more closer to succeeding if Zero was the one who executed them. We could have finally seen what Scar and Zero's dynamic is. Are they madly in love? Or is it just a Joker and Harley Quinn situation and Scar would just consider Zero a tool, but Zero couldn't help but love Scar? What kind of a father Scar is? Does he hate Nuka for what a failure he is? Or does he surprisingly love him because he saw himself in him? Does he love Vitani for what a troublemaker she can be? Or is he sexist? Does he actually love Kovu, or does he only care for continuing his legacy? Does he have a favorite, or does he love them equally because he has experienced being neglected firsthand? Each time I think about season 2, I end up dreaming about what could have been. How different it could have been if Scar's family was fighting by his side. How dangerous the combination of Scar's intelligence and Zero's willingness to get her hands dirty would have been. Would Nuka become more competent under Scar's influence? Would Vitani become evil? What would Kovu do? He seemingly had never been interested in what stuff Scar and Zero wanted him to do. Would Scar finally find a way to corrupt Kovu? Or would Kovu betray his family and join Simba? Or become a spy or a double agent and pretend to be on Scar's side while he sends information to Simba? I know they didn't do it because they wanted the show to be canon to the movies, so they couldn't do anything ambitious. But the thing is, the show already doesn't feel canon. It has more than a few details that makes it impossible for it to become canon. It just doesn't make any sense. You want it to be canon? Then use this opportunity to make sense out of the inconsistencies between Lion King 2 and The Lion Guard. Simba is a jerk in Lion King 2, but he is chill in Lion Guard. Then you could have said that Zero and her followers joined Scar during season 2, and that would result in a tragedy that would have turned the laid-back Simba in Lion Guard into the paranoid Simba in Lion King 2. And also, I think this season had to be shorter. Instead of 29 episodes, you could have only had 12 episodes or something, and only focus on one singular story. 1, 2, or at most 3 plans that Scar would make, and Zero and the other animals under Scar would execute them. The last plan would get 99% close to victory, but the last minute, because of a sacrifice from the hero side and a betrayal from the villain side, the bad guys would lose and Scar's spirit would be sent back to hell, and Zero and her lionesses would get banished again. Losing Scar for a second time would turn Zero into an even bigger psychopath. Nuka would be even more traumatized. Then also someone on the good side would have died, and that would make Simba a jerk. Maybe all the Lion Guard members, maybe half of them, or maybe just Kiyoung himself would sacrifice himself to save the kingdom. Maybe Simba was just one step away from saving Kiyoung, but failed, and that guilt would be the reason why in Lion King 2 Simba was paranoid and Nala was chill. Or if that is too much, then it doesn't have to be a main character. Maybe during season 2 Serabi was actually there, and then she would have been killed by Scar or Zero or their followers. Also, I could theorize that Scar actually hates Zero because of something that happened between them. Or maybe he didn't recruit them because he made an angel of himself in the mind of his own children, and maybe even Zero as well, and if she recruited them they would have seen his fire spirit and find out that Scar was actually evil. But I know the only reason that they didn't do more cool things in this season is because they were cowards. And you may say, didn't I just say that the Lion Guard is just a kiddie show? Yeah, but couldn't the Lion Guard slowly turn from a generic kid show back to a bittersweet story just like the original movie? I was okay with season 1 being just an above average kid show, but that was because season 1 didn't have any potential to be more than that. But season 2 did have the potential to be something deeper, but instead it was just more of the same. Season 2 had all the ingredients, it had all the tools to make something special, but they didn't do it. They just made something good enough. And that is why, even though I enjoyed season 2, I still feel unsatisfied.